also have another act that is very important, and that's the Safe Drinking Water Act. The difference with this act is that it focuses also on groundwater in addition to surface water. And it regulates wells, but not private wells. And the idea here is to protect individuals from naturally occurring pollutants and man-made pollutants. And the way the EPA ensures that the standards are met is that it works with states and municipalities, and it sets a base floor for standards. Now, states and municipalities can have higher standards. So we're going to change gears and talk about waste regulations. And the main act that oversees waste regulations is the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act. This regulates hazardous waste, and for a material to be a hazardous waste, it has to be a solid first, a solid hazardous waste. And this is classified as garbage, refuse, sludge, and discarded materials, which can include gaseous materials. And wastes are listed in one of four lists. You have the list F, which includes non-specific materials, which can be from various industries. For example, solvents that are used for degreasing. And since they're found in different areas, they would be listed under list F. And then we also have list K, which focuses on particular waste materials that are found within certain industries. For example, the petroleum refining industry or pesticide industry. And then finally, we'll have lists P and U, which focus on commercial chemical wastes. They can include both used and unused sources, and also pharmaceuticals, because pharmaceuticals, when discarded, can become detrimental to humans, and they can be considered hazardous wastes. So now Lynn's going to talk a little bit more about air regulations and energy regulations.
Well, I will talk about air regulation and energy regulation. Well, maybe you'll probably feel a lot tired with those regulations, but I will be short for sure. About the air regulation, there's one important regulation in the United States, which is named Clean Air Act. Let's go a little bit about the history. It was first passed in 1970, and it was just amended in 1990. And the purpose of this Clean Air Act is to regulate the air pollution emission all over the United States. And the way it do is to authorize EPA, which is the Environmental Protection Agency, to set standard to the air quality in order to protect public health and to improve environment. And the EPA set a lot of standard for the air pollution, and this standard is applied for the whole state. However, each state can have their own air quality standard, but this quality must be higher than the EPA's quality. But besides setting the quality standard of the air, EPA also provides technical support and financial support for local government to implement projects to achieve the target. So let me come to some important point of this Clean Air Act. So the Clean Air Act will address you to several kind of air pollution, like the commonly found air pollutant, such as particle matter and ground level ozone, or the acid rain and the toxic air pollutant. In order to clean up the commonly found air pollutant, the Clean Air Act has authorized EPA to set some specific standards for of air discharge from some largely polluted source, such as power plant and motor vehicle. And as you know from the previous from IB cleaning presentation, the motor vehicle account for more and more energy usage in the United States. And as such, they discharge a large amount of air pollution. So EPA have set a limit of air pollutant that can be discharged from motor vehicle. And they do this by requiring manufacturers to build cleaner engine and to require refiner to produce cleaner fuel. And apart from that, the Clean Air Act also touch point on how to reduce acid rain, and they try to reduce the emission of SO2 from power plant. And they, in order to do this, they have create a discharge permit, which can be traded on the market, interestingly, so that companies that have high requirement to discharge SO2, they can buy from the other company. And to reduce toxic air pollutant, this act have required industrial sources that discharge pollution heavily to install specific control or even change their production process if required. With that, let me come to the energy regulation. This regulation is aimed at addressing the energy shortage issue in the United States and to incentivize environment-friendly production and usage of green energy. And it was passed on July 29, 2005 by President George Bush. And this Energy Policy Act, it mostly giving standards and requirement for all the company and all the for all company and local agency to comply with. But besides from setting standards, they also provide a lot of incentive and credits and guarantee loans to have them implement their project that is environment friendly. And a couple of examples of how they set standard. They have regulate that the purpose of energy reduction in the United States in the coming year should be no less than 2%, and they set the requirement for federal procurement from 10 to 30%. And besides this requirement, they provide a lot of standard for both household or business sector. But I will not talk a lot about this because Brianna will give you detailed information about incentive that you can get from this act. And also, you may find a lot of support from this act when you do the R&D or production or usage of biomass or biofuel as opposed to other energy that is heavily used at this moment from the fuel sources. And in addition to Energy Policy Act, we also have another program called PACE, which is Property Access Clean Energy. This program is aimed at allowing local government to sponsor or funding projects that aim at using more energy. Because the energy project usually use heavily upfront fee, so it needs a strong support at the beginning in order to implement. So this program was put in place to have all the business to run their energy environment-friendly energy program. So with that, Rihanna will talk a little bit about federal incentive.
Thanks, Ryan.